Welcome back, everyone, to Biological Fitness. So today we are going to do a lesson lying on the side. And you may have done one of those classes before, but just to get you oriented to what you're going to need, probably some head support, right? Folded towels can work well. What I want to emphasize, though, in particular, is that as we go along in the process, you might find that you don't need as much head support as we get further into it. So if you have the ability to adjust, again, so if it's like a towel, you can fold it different ways, or if you're using like books or something. Anyway, you're going to want to be able to lie on your side with support for your head, but the head is going to move. And you'll kind of see as we get into our awareness through movement lesson why it would be good to adjust, but just encourage you to have it some flexibility with whatever you choose to put under your head. So many of the themes we're going to be working with today are familiar for you if you've been part of the previous classes in the series, but I just want to emphasize two key things that are always important, but in particular to think about today. So one is really high quality attention to yourself. The movements we're going to get into, some of them will get you into a position that might remind you of a yoga pose, a kind of a twisting position. And the way the process is going to be built, there's a way that you're going to be doing something where you kind of have a certain range of motion that you keep noticing what that is as we go along, and it very well is likely that your range of motion will increase through the process. But what we're not going to be doing is stretching. We're going to, in fact, show that it's possible to increase your range of motion simply by having a better coordination of all the different joints in your body working together rather than relying excessively on one particular muscle group or one particular joint to do a lot of the movement. So I'm going to say it as we go along, but I'll say it now, is to really pull back from the temptation to push yourself in the end ranges of what we're going to do. Because again, there's another way, and that's what we really want to zoom in on this time. And the way to do that is to be really listening deeply to the sensations as you move, to be willing to go slow enough so that you can feel the difference in sensation in very small ranges, because especially when you're towards the end of the range, going a little too far there, that's where discomfort, strain, and even injury can happen, which is obviously not something that we want. And the other aspect of what the attention will do is, as we go along, it will help you to complete the image of your whole body in the movement. So there's a way that if we think of moving our head, moving our arm, it's like we're dividing ourselves up into those parts. And we sometimes, even if we're not languaging it that way, there's a way that we move as if we were just moving a part of ourselves rather than a sort of an integrated movement that involves more of the whole body. So that's what we're going to be looking for today. And we're basically going to be playing with rotation. And so in particular, the length of the spine and the feeling that the spine all along its length is part of the movement is what we're going to be working towards. I think that's about enough of what you need to know to just get a sense of what we're going into. We will, of course, lie on the back to rest. So when we're on the back, you want to take the head support out. And other than that, I think we can begin. I'll invite you to stand in the very beginning. And as a way of checking in, slowly turn to look over one shoulder. And then come back to the middle and slowly turn to look over the other shoulder. So notice which direction you turn first, which direction spontaneously seemed more available to you. And then as you go side to side, just within the range that's comfortable, pay attention to your spine. So are you just swiveling your head, just turning your neck? Or do your shoulders turn around the axis? What do you feel in your middle back, your low back? Are you turning your pelvis? And notice when you go to the left, do you take your eyes also all the way to the left? And of course, same thing to the right. Try making a few movements where you actually initiate the entire movement by shifting your eyes and then let everything else follow. See if that changes the quality of what you're doing. Okay, pause for a moment. And now bring one arm straight out in front of you at shoulder height, and then take it out to the side and turn, but as if you were following your hand with your eyes. And just turn in the direction that the arm that you lifted, come back to the middle. Try that 2 or 3 times, and then switch arms and turn in the other direction. And just see now that you have the weight of the arm involved in the movement, how does that change the way you organize what you're doing? Drop the arms again, and then just look over one shoulder and look over the other. Okay, and then walk a bit through the room. Just feel how that movement of rotation can also be a part of your walking. And then come to rest on your back on the floor. Observe your left leg and how it rests. And your right leg. And your left arm. Your right arm. And then bring your attention to the line of your spine from your tailbone all the way up into the base of your skull. Notice how each of your 2 shoulder blades connects to the ground right now. Is one shoulder a little closer to the ground than the other? And notice in particular for each shoulder blade, where on the shoulder blade do you feel the most pressure? More towards the top, more towards the bottom, nearer to the spine, or more on the outside of the back? There's probably a way that each shoulder blade connects to the floor that's a little bit distinct from the other side. And now gently roll your head and use this movement to listen again down the length of your spine. So go gently, simply. Include your eyes in the movement. And just ask yourself, as the head goes to one side, how far down your spine do you feel that movement? And then when you go down, or rather when you roll your head to the other side, do you feel the movement down your spine to the same degree? Do you feel it further down or not as much? So to continue filling out the picture as you roll your head side to side, again, just an easy range. It doesn't have to be a large movement at all, even if the nose just points couple of inches in each direction away from the midline is sufficient. But feel how you're shifting the weight over your upper back. And notice, does your breastbone get involved in the movement? And here, it's possible that what the breastbone does in one direction might be quite different than what happens in the other direction. Might give you a clue if you're sensing real difference in quality between the two sides. Which direction is your chest more involved in the movement of rolling the head? Okay, leave your head in the middle. And now please roll to lie on your left side. So you can place some supports under your head, have most of the support behind your head. And draw your knees up in front of your pelvis, swing the lower legs forward so that the heels are below the knees rather than below the pelvis. It's as if you had been sitting in a chair that someone placed sideways on the ground. So more or less right angles down your spine to your knees and then to your lower legs. And now extend your left arm on the floor out in front of you at shoulder height. And also extend your right arm forward so that you place the palm of your right hand on top of the palm of your left hand. And just breathe here for a moment. Feel the movement in your chest between your arms. And just notice how that space between your breastbone and your hands kind of pulses with the breath. And now look at your right hand and begin a very small movement, because this is only to really tune into the sensation in the beginning. We're going to build things up slowly, but you just begin to lift the arm so that the right hand comes away from the left. But as you lift, feel the weight of the arm. Just lift maybe an inch or no more than that is really necessary here at the beginning. Then put the arm down. And pause, and then come back to it. But these movements aren't about seeing how much you can lift the arm. These movements are to answer the question for yourself: how much does my arm weigh? And what you'll find is if you have the idea of lifting higher and higher, you're going to reach a point where you have to work harder. The arm will just feel heavier at a certain point. So stop when you feel that and go back to the floor, because we're not trying to improve anything here. We're just trying to get a sense of the weight of the arm. And just rest the hand now. And now notice your breathing again, so that when you make the movement again, you can time it with the exhale. And then begin to use your head and your eyes in a more deliberate way. So when the right hand is resting on the left hand, look at your right thumb. And then as you lift the arm and the thumb goes away from the floor, follow your thumb with your eyes, which before long will probably invite you to begin rolling your head. And you're still just making the movement to the place where the arm feels light. So we'll in fact work with this movement quite a bit. So don't ask yourself, how far can I possibly go at this point? Just feel, how far do I go? And then the arm gets heavier. And then put the arm back down each time. Pause and rest. But as you continue playing with the movement, just see if turning the head, and you can also think of turning the chest, you can think of the breastbone following your hand. If this makes the arm feel a little bit lighter than it did initially. And then just to be sure, rest the hand again. And then the next time you think of lifting the arm, don't allow the head to move. And just see, what does that do to the feeling of the weight of the arm if the head does not move, if you just keep looking straight forward. And then come back, and then this time, again, deliberately look to your right thumb. And as the arm lifts up and it begins to travel back, you turn your head in the direction of the ceiling, following the thumb. You can feel that you're rolling a little bit back in the direction of your back. Okay, bring the hand back down. And then come and rest again on your back. And now that you're on your back, you can take the extra support out from under your head. And just notice the two sides of your chest after those few movements. As you breathe, notice the feeling of each of your two arms as they rest on the floor. And now please roll to lie on your right side. So the starting position throughout what we're going to do is going to be the same. So just different that you've rolled to the other side, but once again, you bend the knees. You have them in front of the pelvis, right angles, the lower legs. And now lengthen your right arm straight ahead of you at shoulder height. Put your left hand on top of the right hand. Keeping the elbow straight, begin to lift the left arm. And then put it back down. And so right here at the beginning, what you might be noticing is that the left arm is perhaps lighter to lift, or perhaps the right arm was lighter. And for many people, there will be a significant difference here in the beginning. So we have plenty of time for what we're doing. Again, don't try to push to increase the movement, but go ahead and include your head as you did on the other side. So you allow your head to turn, follow your left thumb now with your eyes. And don't forget about the timing with the breath. But just to be sure, let's actually check it out both ways. So the next time that you lift your left arm and take it up and back, try that movement on the exhale. And as you do the movement, again, have the sense of the weight of your arm, feeling the place where it might get heavier, coming back. Just make one or two movements and then rest, but just keep in mind your sense of the weight of the arm and the movement you just did. And then the next time that you lift the arm, time it with the inhalation. And see if you can sense a difference in the weight of the arm. So your head still rolls, you can follow the thumb. But what feels simpler to you, to lift the arm on the inhalation or on the exhalation? Okay, in either case, rest the arm now, stay on your side. And now, leaving your hands together, just do a very small movement with your head, where you turn your nose slightly towards the floor and then slightly towards the ceiling. And when you do that, pay attention to the contact between your two hands. Notice if turning your head one way makes the top hand feel a little heavier on the bottom hand. And then when you go the other way, that the contact might feel a little lighter. Good. And now you might recall doing this in another one of our classes. Slide the left hand forward without lifting it. Just reach the left arm so that the fingers of the left hand go a little past the fingers of the right hand and then come back. And do that a few times. And each time you do it, allow the head to turn a little towards the floor. This is why I said before that you want to mostly have the head support behind your head so that your nose has a place to go as you turn a little towards the floor. And now, without bending the elbow, slide the left hand backwards. So pull the shoulder back in the direction of your spine and turn your head a little bit towards the ceiling as the left hand comes back towards the wrist of the right hand. And then return and make a few movements of sliding forward and backwards. Start to become a little more tuned into how you're rolling over your chest. How the ribs on the right side are interacting with the floor. Great. Take a rest. And then we're going to go back to that movement of lifting the arm, but try playing with these movements you were just doing of sliding the hands. So start with the hands together and then reach forward with the left hand. And when you can't go forward anymore, begin to lift the arm up and back. Just see where it goes to now easily, and then bring it back down and rest it. And then try that again. Sliding the hand forward, and then the arm lifts away, following your thumb with your head and your eyes, opening the chest as the arm goes up a little more towards the vertical, and then come down. And now rest there. And then try actually sliding the hand towards you, again, without bending the elbow. So it's a movement that involves your left shoulder going back. And once you've slid it back a little bit, then lift the arm there and take it up and back. It's going to feel quite different than reaching forward to take it up. And then bring the arm back down, take a rest. And you can play with that version of the movement maybe one more time. Very good. Bring the arm down and then roll to rest on your back. And just roll your head a little bit left and right. Notice how that movement feels after exploring these movements of lifting the arm, once on the left side, once on the right side. Is there more clarity in the connection between the movement of your head, the shifting weight over your shoulders, movement of your breastbone? Okay, bring your head to the middle and then roll back onto the left side. Same setup, bend your knees, have your arms out in front of you, shoulder height, right hand on top of the left. And begin by just doing that same movement that you have been doing, lifting the arm up and back as you exhale, following your thumb with your head and your eyes. And just see if what we've been doing in terms of just simply repeating the movement and getting more familiar if you're starting to find a little more ease here. And clearly, this isn't just a movement of your arm. The movement invites your spine. So as you make the movement, just create an image for yourself again of the whole length of your spine. And the movement's going to begin in the top of the spine as the head turns and the arm lifts. But the more you lift the arm, how far down your back do you feel the movement? If you go slowly, you could almost imagine that the vertebra right at the top turns, and then the next one, and then the next one, all the way down like that. And just see, are there places in your back, just by paying attention, that can be drawn a little bit more into the movement? And bring your arm down to the floor and take a rest. And now play a little bit with what you did on the other side, sliding the top arm a little forward and a little back. So the head, the chest can turn, but this time the arm stays on the floor. And feel the movement of your shoulder blade. When is it moving away from the spine? When is it drawing closer to the spine? And then as you reach the arm away, continue that into lifting the arm up and back. It could be that you're coming close to taking the arm vertical to point at the ceiling at this point. If you're not, that's fine. Just see how it is. Bring the arm back down. Try sliding forward and back, and then try a couple movements where you're sliding the arm back and then you lift it. Just to get a different sense of the coordination of the shoulder blade over the back of the ribs. And you might find that you prefer one of those two, but try both of the options. Okay, bring your arm down and rest it. And now I'm going to invite you to take the arm up and back and into the vertical so that it's pointing at the ceiling, and then stay there. Now, if you find that that's still a bit further than where you can go right now, that's fine. You just take the arm up and back to the degree that you can. But if possible, point your fingertips straight towards the ceiling, and that would also mean that your head has rolled back so that the back of your head is now in touch with the floor. Your chest is open and you're looking towards the ceiling. Now, in this position, begin to turn the arm around itself. So maybe you can see your palm in the beginning, but then you turn your hand so you see the back of your hand, and then you turn your hand all the way around in the other direction. So the arm is always pointing to the ceiling, but it turns around its own axis, going as far as you can to the inside and to the outside. And just notice, where is your attention? So I just said something about the hand turning, but notice also the wrist turning around itself. And then move your attention closer to your center down along the arm. What's it like if you think of turning the elbow around itself? And the hand up above is still turning, but now you're really aware and thinking about the elbow. And then think about the upper arm. And even the ball of the humerus inside the shoulder joint, turning in, turning out. And can you feel your shoulder blade moving on the back of your ribs as you do this? Okay, bring your arm back down to rest, so you're lying on your left side. And then once more, lift the arm up and back Open your chest, turn your head so you're looking to the ceiling, the fingertips are pointed to the ceiling. And go back to what you were just doing, turning the arm around itself and really looking for the movement all the way into the shoulder joint. Just notice, when does your hand seem to want to get closer to the ceiling? And when does it fall a little back? So as you make one of those turning movements, now think of intentionally reaching for the ceiling. And then with the other movement, you can think of drawing your shoulder blade back as if you were going to tap the floor. Now, of course, you can turn your arm two ways, and you could choose to reach to the ceiling as the arm went in either direction. But if you change the coordination from what you did originally, you'll find that one of these two combinations is going to be much smoother than the other. And you may even have the sense of fighting yourself a little bit in the other direction. Do not try to reach to the ceiling equally with the arm rotating either way. Notice that it simply isn't the same. Which one is simpler? Okay, and then come down again with your right hand on top of your left, resting on the left side. And before you roll to your back, just do one more movement of lifting the arm up and back towards the vertical. And maybe you'll go even further, taking the arm a little bit past the vertical and behind you. Make sure you continue to look at your thumb with your head and your eyes. So if you go past the vertical, then you turn your head a little towards the right. But do not go any further than you can right now. It's likely that the movement has already improved, but we want to have the sense that every movement throughout the whole process is simple. So another way to monitor the quality of the movement, as always, is to listen to your breathing. And just see if you can really breathe simply throughout the movement. And now come with your arm back down to the floor and come and rest on your back. So we're just going side to side here with this process. So feel again if there's something new after that last series of explorations, now that you're back on your back. And as you listen to the two sides of your body, again, roll your head gently, left and right. If you wear the sensations along the left side of your neck, on the right side of your neck. And in a moment like this, it probably really does feel simpler to move to one side than the other. So can you use this moment as a reminder to yourself not to push on the side where you might feel that the movement isn't as available, but you know by now that these variations are going to change the quality each time. So just be with the difference between the two sides. Rest your head in the middle now. And then roll to lie on your right side. Draw up your knees, have your arms out in front of you at shoulder height, left hand resting on the right hand. Arms are straight, both elbows are straight. And now slowly lift the left arm up and back, following with your eyes. And just see how this is coming along on the left side. Or you're on the right side, you're lifting the left arm. And see if on this side you can also come to the place of having the fingers pointing to the ceiling, the head, and the chest, they roll back so you're facing the ceiling. Now the knees should still be stacked. There's a bit of a twist there. Let's see if you have enough availability at this point. And as you did on the other side with the arm to the ceiling, now begin turning the arm around itself, a little to the inside, a little to the outside, and feel right from the beginning when does the shoulder blade move towards the spine? And when does it move away? Looking up towards your hand, but then notice as you turn the arm around itself and the shoulder blade slides on the back, maybe your head actually rolls just a little bit left and right. Let's see if that would feel nice to allow the head a little movement there. Okay, and bring the arm down. And now, as you come back to this basic movement of lifting the arm up and back, renew the image of the spine. And really invite one vertebra after another, all the way down, to join into the movement. The arm might be going further back now. But remember, you really want to listen to your body and not force more than what's available right now. We're going to continue adding little variations on what we're doing, which should open up more possibilities. So be patient. Most likely your arm is already going much further than it did in the beginning, so just enjoy that. And then bring the arm back down. Rest there on your right side. And now, as you're resting, bring your attention to your left knee. And lift your left knee a little bit away from the right knee. Now the feet stay together. So this is a movement in your hip joint. You just lift the left knee a little bit and you put it back down. Notice the weight of your knee here. Can you lift the knee a little bit? Stay connected to your breath. You feel when you lift the left knee, the left hip can move a little bit backwards. And then you put the knee down. Okay, rest the knee for a moment. And now lift the arm up and back as you've been doing. See if those few movements with the knee changed anything about the movement of taking the arm up and back and turning the head, turning the chest. Okay, come back and rest the left hand on top of the right hand. And now again, lift the left knee and keep it lifted for a moment. And then begin to lift the left arm up and back. And as you do so, lower the left knee back down. So don't take the arm to the extreme limit here. And then as you bring the arm back down, lift the knee. So you're starting to take the arm and the knee in opposite directions. So the size of the movement isn't important, but what you're looking for is this opposition, and feel how the movement happens in the bottom half of your spine and the top. Where in your spine do you feel the change in the direction as you lift one limb and lift the other? As one limb lifts, the other one is coming back down. Okay, leave it all alone, rest on your side. And then this time, keep the knees together and take the arm up and back, but really invite every vertebra down the length of your back to be involved. Come back. And the next time you make the movement, slow it way down. And as the arm goes up and back, pay attention to your knee and feel its weight against the other one. Now, when you get to the place where you feel like that's the limit of where the arm can go right now, then lift the left knee and see if that doesn't allow you to take the arm just a little bit further back. And then as you bring the knee back down, bring the arm back all the way to rest. And then one more time, take the arm up and back with the knees together, but then when you reach the limit, lift the knee and see if you can turn and take the arm a little further. Very good. Come all the way back down and come to rest on your back. So you see that there's a way that we just keep adding more of the skeleton, more of the whole body into the movement. In the beginning, there was a way that you could just feel like something you're doing with your arm. Hopefully by now it's very clear that this is an integrated movement that we're looking for. Come onto your left side. Drop the knees, have the arms straight out in front of you at shoulder height, right hand on top of the left. Take the right arm slowly up and back. And again, just be clear that the movement of the head is synchronized with the movement of the arms so that you don't reach your arm further when your head stops turning, and that the head begins the movement with the arm and ends the movement with the arm. See how far you're going right now with the knees together, and then as you did on the other side, lift the right knee and maybe go just a little more. And then come all the way back, and you can pause between the movements. There's no hurry. But try that a few times, taking the arm up and back without lifting the knee until you do lift the knee. You lift the knee in order to avoid just kind of pulling and pushing or whatever it is you do when you kind of just want a little more range. And that's a classic way that people injure themselves. So by allowing the knee to move, you let go of some of that tension. Come all the way back to rest to the left side. And then we're going to play with the same idea, but we're going to add another little piece. So take the right arm up and back, following with your head and your eyes, your breastbone turning, rolling back. The arm goes to where it will, and then the knee lifts and the arm maybe goes a little further. And with the use of the knee, how far does the arm go back? Now, for some people, they might be close to putting the arm on the floor right now, but that's not necessary. So come back, rest on your side. But again, making use of the knee and not doing anything beyond what you can, but see how far can you take the arm back. You go back, you lift the knee to go a little bit further, and then wherever your arm is, maybe it's on the floor, but if it's not, you just keep it where it is, and then make a very gentle movement of taking your knee back towards the other knee, lowering it back. But see if you can do that without bringing the arm back. And here too, you don't necessarily put the knee all the way back on top of the other knee. That might be too much. But if you lower it a little and then lift it, lifting and lowering the knee with the arm back and your head is turned back towards the arm, you might feel that the movement of the knee turns the pelvis and it turns the torso, and you can feel there's a movement of your ribs in relation to your right shoulder blade here. Come all the way back onto the left side. And then one more time, beginning with the knees staying together, take the arm up and back and see where you go now. And then if you like, you can lift the knee and perhaps go a little further. Great, and come back to rest again on your back. So part of what we're doing here is trying to really involve the whole length of the spine. And then to also understand that part of what we need to know about to comfortably take the arm up and back to within limits, but as far as we can, but we also want to know about the sliding action of the shoulder blade over the back of the ribs, and want to be able to coordinate the rolling of the torso with that movement, that relative relationship between shoulder blades and the ribs. So come onto your right side now. The left arm is on top, the knees are drawn up. Slowly take the left arm up and back. Find out where you can go without lifting the left knee, and then allow the left knee to go. And then when the arm is as far back as it can be, lower the left knee just a little bit. Feel that twisting shape and see if you can feel the movement now of the ribs under the left shoulder blade. And then come all the way back, rest on your side. And then one new variation here, take the arm up and back, allow the knee to lift, and you're looking over towards your left hand here. And now leaving the left arm where it is, you're going to turn your head to see the right hand, or to see as close as you can to the right hand. And you keep turning your head once towards the left hand and once towards the right hand. And you probably feel that you're going to have to slightly pick your head up to turn it. This is not a movement of rolling over the floor, but your head stays between your shoulders and you're turning the head around the axis of the spine to see towards one hand and to see towards the other. And then come all the way back and rest on your side. And then go back to just the very basic movement that we've been working with all along, starting by looking at your left thumb, resting on your right side with the knees together. Slowly take the left arm up and back, opening your chest, following your thumb with your head and your eyes, and see how far does it go now. When you come to the end, without pushing into strain, just stay there for a moment and breathe. Just feel the shape without pushing. And just appreciate what you've created for yourself in this short amount of time. Come back and then come and rest on your back. And then come over onto your left side. And just follow your breathing here. Do you feel more comfortable lying on the side than you did in the beginning? Just feel how the air passes through. The shape between your breastbone, your armpits, your hands. And now see, can you make this movement of taking the arm up and back and do it slower than you've done at any point? Just really slow it way down. How much control do you have over the arm as it passes up and back? And where do you get that control from? Is it something in your arm or is it something in your spine? Come back onto your side. Again, refresh the image, the whole length of the spine being available for the movement. Take the arm up and back. And then when you reach your threshold, allow the right knee to lift, maybe go a little bit further, and then keep the arms there. And as you were doing on the other side, look once at the right hand and then once at the left hand, swiveling your head over the top of your spine. And maybe you can even get a sense that the vertebra between your shoulder blades, it's as if you can feel those vertebrae sliding a little in the direction of one shoulder blade and then a little in the direction of the other as they turn around. Good. Come all the way back onto your side and then come onto your back. Come onto your right side. Have the arms out in front of you, shoulder height, left hand on top of the right hand. Now keep your arms on the floor. And now just slide your left knee a little forward and up so that you can place it on the floor in front of your right knee. And then place it back where it was. In fact, go ahead and clasp the fingers of your hands together so that you know the arms are just fixed there. But then once again, scissor your legs so that the left leg comes a little forward and it can rest on the floor in front of the right leg. And just feel the position of your pelvis like this. And then once again, slide the foot back. So you have one knee on top of the other, and then you bring the left leg in front of the right leg and feel the turning movement that happens in the low back when you do that. And now take your left leg a little behind the right leg. You might end up moving the right leg as well, but have the leg scissored in the other direction now so that the right leg is in front and the left leg is behind. And then again, change it so that one knee is on top of the other again. And then again, split the legs, putting the left leg behind and the right leg in front. And then bring the left leg on top of the right and then scissor again to bring the left leg in front. And go back and forth like this, scissoring the legs and then having one knee stacked on top of the other. And once you have the left leg in front, and then once you have the right leg in front. Okay, and then rest with one knee, one leg resting on top of the other. And then unclasp your hands, take the left arm up and back. Feel where you go to now. At this point in the lesson, you might not be adding a lot more range to the movement. So put your attention on the quality of the movement. After everything you've done, you don't want to add some extra strain just to get another half an inch of movement and then create some kind of tension or strain. Okay, come back onto your back. And then roll onto the left side. Bring your arms out in front and clasp the hands as you did on the other side. And once again, begin playing with scissoring the legs in one direction and then the other. And as you listen to the movement that takes place in your spine, as you change the legs, listen up your spine and see if you can sense something happening all the way up between your shoulder blades. So with the arms straight out ahead and the fingers clasped, the shoulders should remain where they are, but the spine can be moving in between. Notice if it changes your experience at all. If when you bring the left leg in front, you just move your eyes to the left towards the floor. When you bring, make sure I said that right. As the right leg, you're on the left side. So as the right leg comes in front, you look with your eyes to the left. I hope that's what I said the first time. And then when the right leg goes behind, you take your eyes a little towards the ceiling. Okay. Now, of course, you could change the combination with your eyes, but just like one of the things you did before, you'll find that one of those combinations is going to feel a lot more challenging. So if you like, take the eyes opposite. But just notice this is not the same. When do your eyes feel like they're in agreement with your spine, and when are they doing something different? Okay, so let that go, have one leg stacked on top of the other, and then just go back to what we've been doing all along. Take the right arm up and back, opening the chest, feeling the distance grow between the armpits as you take the arm up and back, turning the head, lifting the knee if it's comfortable, and coming back. And then if you like, you could play with what you were doing earlier. You could try sliding the arms forward or back to initiate the movement. Just feel what's the overall quality now after all of these variations. And that should be good enough. Come and rest on your back. Just tune in as you did at the beginning to the sense of how your left leg rests on the floor and your right leg, each of your arms, and of course, sense the length of your spine. One last time, roll your head a little left and right, and see if you can have a richer picture of what's taking place now. So sense the shoulder blades, the breastbone moving. Can the breastbone easily turn to each side as the head turns now? You might even feel that the way the arms rest changes as the head rolls. Very good. Come back to the middle. And now bend your knees and stand your feet. Roll to your side and take your time to come up, maybe first into sitting, eventually up into standing. How high is your chest off the ground now? How does your head rest on top of your spine? What's the quality of the way your arms hang from your back? Okay, and now just turn to look over one shoulder and turn to look over the other. Does it feel like there's more of you in the movement now than when you began? And then if you like, again, take one arm out in front of you at shoulder height and then take it back following your hand with your eyes. And this is, of course, more or less what you were doing on the floor. Just see what that's like. The other arm can come forward. If you like, you can have both arms so that one arm points to the front of the room, the other one points back, and you look back to the hand that goes behind you. Go once to the left, once to the right. And then just let your arms hang at your sides. And once again, walk through the room, feeling how you can turn your pelvis, your chest. How is your walking after this lesson compared to how it was? All right. So we'll end here for today. I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.